Hello, I'm Larry. I'm the Chief Intelligence Officer for the Collapse Survivor app. And this app provides both real threat warnings and weekly simulations that we give you to be able to get future experience and help you with your preparations. Now, you may suffer simulated deaths in our worst case scenarios, but at least you do survive at the end of the sim. Also, the purpose of the podcast is to review the collapse threat and the lessons learned on preparedness. And in this case, the scenario is a terrorist nuclear attack scenario and simulation. Now, tonight, we're honored to have Dave Jones, a 24-year veteran of the United States Army and a retired Army chemical bionuclear officer. He taught nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare defense to military personnel all over the world. And as a weapon of mass destruction expert, he's with over years of experience. And after 9/11 occurred, Dave was recalled back to active duty. Now, after retiring from the federal government as an emergency management specialist with DHS, he worked with the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, NASA, and the United States Air Force Global Strike Command, including service at Mount Weather. So I'd like to welcome Dave, and uh, I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, well, thanks, Larry. I'm great to be on your podcast here, and I hope I can shed some light on some problems with the nuclear weapons that terrorists might use. This one right
Okay.
here that you're looking at on the screen, that's an atomic demolition munition, an ADM is what we called it, and this one is the W45. It has an adjustable yield, and it can go all the way up to 15 kilotons. And 15 kilotons is equivalent to what we dropped on Hiroshima. Nagasaki was about 18 kilotons, and a kiloton is 1,000 tons of TNT.
Okay. Okay. So most people they picture nuclear weapons like ICBMs and bombs dropping from aircraft, but the Army actually has artillery, rocket, and even backpack nukes, which you just kind of explained just now, and that was great, kind of giving us an idea of the scale of what some of these things can produce in their if they're detonated. So
Yeah, as you said, artillery round. We got very good at making these bombs much smaller, and we could fire them from an 8-inch howitzer, and an 8-inch howitzer round was actually a larger yield than dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So they became a lot smaller and a lot more powerful.
okay. So you also served with the Pershing nuclear missiles in Germany, and what was their yield compared to what you just described earlier?
Well, with a missile, you get a lot more yield than you could with an artillery round or something like that. So Pershing missiles can go up to 100 kilotons, and that's 5 times what you can get in an artillery round. So they're much bigger.
Okay. Okay. So, and just an idea of the technology that's used for uh, uranium for the enrichment, the U-235 isotope that basically makes up only about 0.7% of natural uranium.
Hmm.
And you have to change that and enrich it to be able to make it useful for a device. And if you think about it, you need about only 20 kilograms of uranium, of enriched uranium, to produce a weapon that's sufficient for something like Hiroshima or Nagasaki with that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
that's correct.
yeah,
And
there
you
there go ahead.
Yeah, the bomb itself would be around 100 to 200 pounds. Now,
Okay.
keep in mind that it does need high explosives to set it off. So if someone was looking for this, like if we were aware of a terrorist attack, they could use regular bomb sniffing dogs to try and find the high explosive that's inside the nuclear bomb. The problem there is whoever finds it needs to identify it as a nuclear bomb and not just the high explosives. So
Okay.
the average bomb guy has never seen uh, an atomic demolition munition or a artillery projectile that's nuclear in nature.
Okay. There's
And things
go
like
ahead.
well, AI can also help people learn how to enrich uranium or create a bomb because there's enough. See, AI peels off all the information and searches websites and everything that's on the web, and they can consolidate that information in one spot very quickly, and it can teach terrorists what to do and how to make one of these bombs.
Okay. So looking at this slide,
Hmm.
in the simulation there, we have an exercise message that comes out on how to clean the radiation off your food supply and to do it
Right.
safely. And kind of this slide kind of shows how food and food supply could be contaminated. But if you could kind of go over a safe way to clean food, I'd appreciate it. That'd be kind of nice. We'd like to know that.
Well, sure. Now, first of all, canned food or anything that's stored can be cleaned, soap and water, whatever you clean dirt off with, because radioactive fallout is nothing more than charged dirt particles. Now, if you
Okay.
can clean that off of something, you can effectively decontaminate it. But you need one of these to help detect whether you cleaned it well enough. This is a radiac meter that detects very small amounts of radiation or fallout. Um, so that's how you know if you did it well enough. Now, if you have fallout in an area where there's plants that are growing, there is potential for that plant to absorb some of that radiation and get it up in the fallout or get it up in
Okay.
the plant. Also, cows that may be grazing, it can get in the milk and get in the cow. But if it's sealed up ahead of time, if it's, canned food or packaged food that's, beforehand, that all you have to do is wash off and it's safe. It doesn't become radioactive.
Okay. And the meter you showed, that'd be great. You could always check that just to see, if you're in a really bad situation, starvation or low rate, you could check it, and you might be able to use that.
Yeah. And this slide
So,
here depicts, yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead, Larry.
yeah, for this slide, we're doing a deep dive into the preparedness part and education, and basically, I'd appreciate if you kind of walk us through this slide here. There's a lot of information there.
Yeah, and basically this is radiation sickness. Okay, so it will progress uh, just like if you have a person that's going through chemotherapy, they'll get sick,
Mm,
nausea, vomiting, headaches, dizziness. Um, your hair will eventually fall out. Okay, just like
yeah.
chemotherapy. So the more radiation you get, the more of these effects you'll have, and it doesn't really. I
Okay.
mean, you get better, but it doesn't wear off over time. Whatever the damage is done, it's
Okay.
going to be done to your body, and you'll have that until you die. So if it creates
Okay.
cancer or something, yeah.
So it's
thyroid.
cumulative.
It's cumulative. That is correct. And that's another thing I would like to point out.
Okay.
It's cumulative. So if you have a group of people and you have to go out every day to do something, get water or check something, you want not the same person to go. So you want to rotate people
Okay.
so they each one gets a little bit of exposure as opposed to one
Yeah.
person getting all the exposure.
Okay. That makes sense. So in
Yeah,
this slide, here again with the deep dive preparedness part that we're doing, uh, we're assuming that radiation exposure levels. We're assuming this is a low level fallout situation in this scenario. Uh,
right.
not a ground zero, but definitely in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
So again,
Well,
if you have some comments on it, because there's a ton of information on this one too.
yeah. Well, fallout becomes particularly dangerous if you breathe it in or eat it. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's when it does the damage inside your body. When it's outside your body, you can wash it off, soap, water, and then check to make sure
Okay.
you got it all off. If it's on your skin, it will cause actual physical burns if you leave it there long enough. And
Okay.
as like we said, the other, nausea, vomiting, uh, headaches, those are the early on symptoms. And then if you got a larger dose, then your hair is going to fall out. And but on low doses like fallout, um, you're gonna have stomach upset, vomiting, dizziness.
Okay. So yeah, on this slide, I'll
Yeah,
let you talk to this one, Dave, because everyone I hear a lot of people and they talk, like the potassium iodide is that silver bullet,
yeah,
and it
and it
really
is
isn't.
it isn't. And anybody that's viewing this video, you need to do some research on KI because it is not a panacea. First of all, they don't recommend it for children or anybody over 40. See, what it does is it will
Yeah.
bond with
Yeah.
uh, radioactive iodine. Okay, it only works for one isotope, radioactive iodine, and there's many other things. It doesn't work for fallout. Okay, so people
Hmm.
think this is an anti-radiation pill and it will protect me from all radiation. No,
Yeah.
it protects you from thyroid cancer, and
Yeah.
you also need to take it per body weight. So, and you only take it for a certain amount of time. So you have to know
Okay.
when you're getting the fallout and when you need to stop taking it because it's a real.
Okay.
You really got to do your research on this. And of course, anybody over 40, it's not
Yeah.
recommended at all because it's for cancer of the thyroid like years from now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So here on this slide, basically, I just wanted to let our audience know that we've run this simulation for 6 days, and what we'll end up doing is they'll be emailed a PDF report on the lessons learned from the simulation, and we try real hard to get those out in 24 hours, so that they can start connecting the dots and putting things together on that. And I just want to remind everyone that the Collapse Survivor app, it's not just for simulations, but also real world threats. If there is a real collapse and a threat warning is issued from Fortitude Ranch, from the watch team, and the member warning system, you'll get an alert on your phone. Now, that's important to think and understand because a few hours or even a few days of that added knowledge and that alert that could save your life because it'll probably come out ahead of what you would get from the government. Now, if you don't want to have all the notices that you get when you're doing the simulation, you can turn those off. And there is an explanation of how you can do that on the app. But if there is a real world collapse, that threat warning will be pushed to your phone so that you actually get that. And with all these simulations and scenarios, it can be kind of depressing. Lots of death and destruction, and I just, so we always try and add in some prepper humor. And I'll let everyone, you can read these on the slides. They're pretty straightforward and they're kind of funny. But I've been kidded with because one that I'll add on to this list is I've made a range card for my area and neighborhood that I live in. Uh,
Yeah.
some people might
If
look at that kind of odd. I also evaluate people now when I talk to them and meet them according to their skill sets. Oh, okay. Maybe you have a couple you could add into this list.
Oh my gosh, you could be a prepper if you don't have a front yard, but you do have a pasture.
There you
you
go. Yep.
you could be a prepper if you look at Bambi alongside the road, a young deer, and you wonder how they taste on a spit.
There you go. Yeah. I've actually been caught thinking about that one myself.
Yeah.
So, and then again, here's another piece of prepper humor for everyone with that silver lining. Yep. And I always love this slide being added in here because it gives everyone a very important thought and lesson to learn from here. If
Yep.
you're in an area with that's a major threat and everything's going south on you, blend. Look
That's
as
right.
normal as you can. Become that gray man, and they probably won't notice you.
Yeah.
No. And again, I'll just mention to everyone. Every scenario goes into the library for the apps. This scenario played for 6 days, so it will go into the app scenario uh, within the next 24 hours. So you can play it again and you can play it at your own speed. You can actually just kind of whiz right through it instead of waiting for messages to come in. And I'd like to just tell everyone, we hope to see you next week when we put out another scenario. And I usually sign off with strength and honor. But today I'm also going to remind everyone the Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Okay. And my other part of that is from the character Oddball in Kelly's Heroes. Don't hit me with them negative waves. Stay positive. Just be prepared.
Yep.
And I'll let you sign off too, Dave.
Okay, well, this scenario right here is the most likely nuclear attack that can happen in the United States, even with Putin doing his thing. So just
Mhm.
know that this is very, very likely compared to other types of scenarios. And the way I usually sign off is prep on.
Go.